In this episode, we step into a reality that surprises many new learners the first time they see it up close. The hardest part of delivering technology value is not finishing a project, but keeping its promised benefits intact as everything around it changes. Organizations rarely stand still long enough for a neat, linear plan to unfold because leadership priorities shift, teams reorganize, budgets tighten, and systems evolve in ways that were not anticipated when an initiative began. When that happens, the benefits you thought were secured can quietly leak away, even if the project technically completed on time. Change management is the discipline that protects those benefits by making change predictable, understood, and controlled enough that people can adapt without breaking what was gained. It is not a soft, optional practice. It is a practical governance control that keeps value delivery from collapsing under the weight of constant motion. The goal is to understand how change management, CM, preserves outcomes when the enterprise environment refuses to stay stable. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A useful way to approach CM is to see it as the bridge between a decision and the lived reality of how people and systems operate day to day. When leaders approve an initiative, they are making a promise about outcomes, such as faster service, fewer errors, better security, or reduced cost. But those outcomes only materialize if behavior changes and stays changed. The moment priorities shift, the enterprise may start making compromises, like skipping steps, rushing rollouts, or abandoning training, and those compromises often chip away at benefits first. CM protects benefits by treating change as a process with inputs, impacts, and follow-through, rather than as a single moment when something is turned on. This includes managing expectations, coordinating dependencies, and ensuring that the new way of working becomes the normal way of working. New learners often think change is primarily technical, but in governance, change is both technical and human, because systems are operated by people who interpret rules, follow habits, and respond to incentives. Benefits survive when change is managed to align all those factors. It is also important to separate the idea of change management from the idea of change itself, because change is inevitable while CM is optional, and that difference is where risk appears. Enterprises can be changing constantly, yet still be unmanaged in how those changes are introduced and absorbed, which leads to instability and value loss. CM does not try to stop change. It tries to make change safer and more coherent by ensuring that changes are understood, planned, and introduced with appropriate controls. When priorities shift, a well-managed environment can absorb the shift with less disruption because decisions are made deliberately and communicated clearly. When teams shift, a well-managed environment can transfer knowledge and responsibilities without losing critical context. When systems shift, a well-managed environment can coordinate dependencies so that downstream effects are anticipated rather than discovered through outages. Beginners sometimes confuse CM with bureaucracy, but the real purpose is to reduce the chaos tax, the invisible cost paid when changes collide and benefits are damaged. Good governance uses CM to keep change from becoming accidental sabotage. Benefits protection begins with making benefits explicit in plain language, because you cannot protect what no one can clearly describe. Many initiatives declare benefits vaguely, like improved efficiency, and then those benefits are difficult to defend when trade-offs arise. A stronger approach describes benefits as observable outcomes, such as reducing the time to complete a customer request, lowering error rates in a billing process, improving recovery time during outages, or reducing the number of privileged accounts. When benefits are explicit, CM can identify what behaviors and system states must remain true for those benefits to persist. This clarity matters most during shifts, because shifts create pressure to cut corners, and without explicit benefits, people do not recognize what corners are unsafe to cut. For example, if the benefit depends on consistent data definitions, allowing teams to create local variations can destroy the benefit even if the system still runs. Beginners often think benefits are automatic consequences of technology changes, But benefits are usually fragile agreements between people, processes, and systems. CM protects those agreements by keeping benefit conditions visible and non-negotiable unless leaders consciously accept a trade-off. A major reason benefits leak during priority shifts is that urgent work crowds out the stabilizing work that makes change stick, such as documentation, training reinforcement, process refinement, and monitoring. When a new priority arrives, organizations often redeploy people quickly, and the unfinished stabilizing tasks are left behind as if they were optional extras. The problem is that stabilization is where benefits become durable, because that is where teams learn how to operate the new system confidently and where issues are corrected before they become normal. CM protects benefits by treating stabilization as part of delivery rather than as a bonus, and by keeping stabilization responsibilities clear even when project staffing changes. This includes defining what the organization must observe after implementation, what success looks like in operational terms, and what corrective actions will be taken if the benefit is not appearing. Beginners sometimes assume that once a system is live, it is done, but real delivery continues until the new way of working becomes routine and predictable. When priorities shift, CM ensures the organization does not abandon the final steps that secure value. Team shifts create another predictable threat to benefits because knowledge often lives in people's heads rather than in shared, durable artifacts. When teams are reorganized, when key individuals leave, or when responsibilities are reassigned, the enterprise can lose understanding of why certain decisions were made and how certain controls should be executed. That loss of context leads to inconsistent behavior, which can break benefits slowly and invisibly. CM protects against this by building transfer mechanisms into change, such as clear ownership, clear operating expectations, and clear decision records that explain intent and trade-offs. This is not about producing massive documentation. It is about ensuring that critical knowledge is captured where future teams can find it and apply it. Beginners often underestimate how much risk comes from turnover, but in governance, turnover is a common, expected condition, not a rare event. When CM anticipates turnover, benefits are less tied to individuals and more tied to the system. This is how benefits survive organizational change rather than resetting every time a team chart changes. System shifts are equally disruptive because modern environments are interconnected, and a change in one area can ripple into others in surprising ways. A system update can alter data formats, logging behavior, access patterns, or performance characteristics, and those changes can affect analytics accuracy, security monitoring, and operational workflows. When systems shift without coordination, the enterprise may still appear functional, but key benefits may degrade, such as dashboards becoming less trustworthy or incident detection becoming less effective. CM protects benefits by requiring that system changes are evaluated for downstream impacts, especially on critical capabilities and information assets. This includes understanding dependencies, planning sequencing, and ensuring that changes are introduced in a way that allows verification before full reliance is placed on the new state. Beginners sometimes believe that integration is a one-time effort, but integration is a living relationship that must be maintained as systems evolve. When CM is mature, the enterprise treats system shifts as governed events that require coordination, not as isolated technical tasks. That coordination is what keeps benefits intact when the technical landscape changes. One of the most practical mechanisms for benefits protection is impact analysis that focuses on outcomes rather than on components. When a change is proposed, the organization should ask what user groups will be affected, what workflows will change, what data will be created or transformed, and what controls must remain effective. The outcome focus is important because it keeps the analysis tied to what leaders care about, such as customer experience, reliability, and compliance posture. Impact analysis also helps prevent the false assumption that small changes are low risk, because a small change in a critical dependency can have a large effect on a benefit. Beginners might expect impact analysis to be a highly technical process, but a useful impact analysis can be described in plain language, such as identifying which teams will need to adjust their routines and which measures might drift. When impact analysis is consistent, it becomes easier to plan training, communication, and support, which reduces adoption friction. It also becomes easier to anticipate resistance, because people often resist when impacts are unclear or when they fear hidden workload. CM uses impact analysis to replace surprise with preparation. Communication is another area where benefits are either protected or lost, because during shifts, confusion creates inconsistent behavior. When priorities change, people need to know what is still important, what has changed, and what remains non-negotiable because it protects critical outcomes. When teams change, people need to know who owns what and where decisions should go, or else work will stall and shortcuts will emerge. When systems change, people need to know what to expect and how to recognize problems early, or else problems will be discovered only after damage is done. CM protects benefits by communicating in a way that is specific, timely, and tied to actions people must take, rather than delivering abstract statements about alignment. Beginners sometimes assume communication is simply sending announcements, but governance communication must drive consistent behavior, which means it must answer practical questions. It should also reinforce why the benefit matters, because people follow controls more reliably when they see the consequence of losing them. In a shifting environment, communication is not noise. It is a control that keeps behavior coherent. Training and reinforcement are often where benefits quietly die, especially when leadership assumes that a single training event is enough. People learn through repetition and application, and they often need support when they encounter real edge cases, not only when they are listening to explanations. During shifting priorities, training is often cut first because it looks like overhead, but without reinforcement, people revert to familiar habits that may conflict with the new process. CM protects benefits by designing training as an ongoing reinforcement plan, where expectations are revisited, performance is checked, and questions are answered as people apply new workflows. This can be done without making training feel heavy, because the goal is to keep learning close to real work and focused on the decisions people actually make. Beginners may not realize that habit is a powerful force in organizations, and habit does not change simply because a new system exists. Habits change when the environment and expectations change consistently over time. CM ensures that reinforcement is planned and resourced so benefits remain stable. Another critical benefits protection mechanism is governance over changes to the change itself, meaning the organization must manage drift in the process after the initial rollout. Many initiatives start with clear rules, but over time teams make local adjustments, exceptions expand, and the original intent becomes diluted. This drift can feel harmless because it happens in small steps, but drift is often the path by which benefits evaporate while everyone believes they are still following the plan. CM protects benefits by defining what changes are allowed, how exceptions are granted, and how process changes are reviewed and communicated. This does not mean freezing the process forever, because improvement is necessary, but it does mean changes are intentional and visible rather than accidental. Beginners sometimes think governance is a one-time setup, but governance must be continuous to prevent drift. When drift is detected early, corrections are easier and less disruptive. This is why mature CM includes monitoring for early signals that behavior is diverging from the desired process, especially after major organizational changes. Measurement is the part of CM that proves whether benefits are being protected, because without measurement, benefit loss is discovered only through complaints or failures. Measurement should focus on leading indicators and outcome indicators, so the enterprise can see both whether the new behavior is being adopted and whether the desired outcome is being achieved. For example, adoption might be visible through consistent use of the new process and reduced reliance on workarounds, while outcomes might be visible through improved reliability, faster completion times, or improved data quality. Beginners sometimes assume measurement is only for executives, but measurement is also for teams, because teams need feedback to correct course. Measurement also supports accountability because it clarifies whether benefit loss is due to inadequate adoption, inadequate training, inadequate system performance, or a change in priorities that altered the context. When priorities shift, measurement provides an anchor, showing what is being gained and what is being lost. This allows leadership to make conscious trade-offs rather than drifting into accidental value loss. CM uses measurement as evidence so decisions remain grounded. A key governance insight is that benefits protection requires clear ownership after the project team disbands, because benefits usually must be sustained by operational teams for months or years. If ownership is unclear, everyone assumes someone else is responsible for maintaining the new process, monitoring outcomes, and coordinating fixes. This is especially dangerous during team shifts because new leaders may inherit systems without understanding that benefit sustainment is still underway. CM protects benefits by ensuring that ownership is transferred deliberately, with clear responsibilities and clear expectations about what must be maintained. This includes defining who approves changes, who monitors key indicators, and who coordinates across teams when issues emerge. Beginners might think that ownership is implied by job titles, but implied ownership is often weak because it creates ambiguity during incidents and disputes. Explicit ownership supports timely decisions, which prevents small issues from becoming entrenched problems. When ownership is clear, benefits are not treated as temporary project achievements, but as ongoing enterprise commitments. Change management must also handle the reality that not all benefits can be protected equally when the environment shifts, which is why CM includes structured trade-off decisions rather than hidden compromises. If a budget cut reduces capacity, leadership may need to decide which benefits remain essential and which can be delayed, but that decision should be explicit and risk-informed. If a reorganization changes workflows, leadership may need to decide which controls must be preserved to protect critical outcomes and which controls can be adjusted without severe risk. Beginners often assume that trade-offs are signs of failure, but in governance, trade-offs are normal, and the failure is making trade-offs unconsciously. CM protects benefits by bringing trade-offs to the surface with evidence, showing what will likely happen if a control is weakened or if a stabilization task is skipped. This allows leaders to accept risk knowingly or to invest in protecting what matters most. When trade-offs are explicit, teams can align behavior to the new reality without confusion. That alignment is what prevents chaotic, inconsistent responses that destroy benefits faster than necessary. As we close, using CM to protect benefits when priorities, teams, or systems shift means treating value delivery as something that must be sustained through disciplined execution, not merely achieved through a launch. Benefits remain intact when they are explicit, when impact is analyzed in outcome terms, and when communication, training, and reinforcement are designed to shape real daily behavior. Benefits also survive when ownership is transferred clearly, when drift and exceptions are governed, and when measurement provides early visibility into adoption and outcome health. Most importantly, benefits are protected when trade-offs are made consciously, with leaders understanding what is being risked and why, rather than letting changes erode value through silent shortcuts. For brand new learners, the takeaway is that change is constant, but unmanaged change is what turns progress into disappointment. When CM is integrated into governance, the enterprise becomes more resilient because it can adapt without losing control, and it can shift direction without discarding the value it already paid to create. That is how governance keeps technology benefits real in a world that keeps moving.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.